In this video, we're working on 4.nf.3c, adding and subtracting mixed numbers. This is a little bit of a different monster because it's easy for students when we have no regrouping, but when it comes to those biggies with regrouping, it becomes a little bit more difficult. That's where we have to add in some of our bigger steps. And so let's review how to do some mixed to improper, changing our mixed numbers to improper fractions so that students can get a better grip on how to properly add and subtract those mixed numbers. Okay, so let's just start with, let's divide something here. Let's do 3 3/5. And let's add that to 2 4/5. And if I go ahead and if I add this, I can see that I'm going to get 5 7/5. I know that I can add whole numbers and I can add the fractions, but the one thing I want students to be able to do is do the steps of changing a mixed number to an improper fraction. And I just feel that it's important for students to be able to have that skill, change mixed numbers to improper fractions. And the way that I tell them to do that is we always write little steps for things. And we always write D times W plus N. Okay, and that D stands for denominator. Okay, and the W is for whole number. And the N is for numerator. So we have to multiply the denominator times our whole number, and we get that total, and we add it to our numerator. D times W plus N. D times W, add it to the numerator N. Do the same thing here. D times W, 5 times 2 is 10. Add it to the numerator. Okay, so once I know those steps, the D times W plus N, which is denominator times the whole number plus the numerator, and you may also see people draw lines and those kinds of things. Okay, either way is totally fine, but I want students to understand the steps of what we're doing to change that to an improper fraction, and then I want them to also know the steps to change improper back to mixed. Okay, so if we're doing 3 3/5 plus 2 4/5, we can see that we can make it into a mixed number, and we are going to do that. Let's change those to improper. Okay, so if we had, again, 3 3/5 plus 2 4/5, and if we're doing those steps, 5 times 3 is 15. We're going to add that to the numerator. So our new numerator is going to be 18. D times W is 15 plus N makes 18. Our denominator stays the same throughout the entire problem, 18/5. Do the same thing to this problem. Denominator times whole number, D times W is 10 plus the numerator. 10 plus 4 makes 14. Same denominator throughout the problem, doesn't change. So 2 4/5 is equivalent to 14/5. 3 3/5 is equivalent to 18/5. Okay, so now we can simply add these two together. 18 plus 14. If your students have trouble adding those up, they can go over to the side and add it up. 18 plus 14 is 32. Keep our same denominator. But again, we don't want to finish our problem with an improper fraction. So that's why I teach students to do the improper back to mixed. And we do improper back to a mixed by doing denominator, numerator, divided by denominator. Okay, and so we're going to do that by doing 32 divided by 5. Okay, numerator 32 divided by denominator 5. 32 divided by 5. Okay, so how many groups of 5 are going to 32? 6 groups of 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 32 minus 30 is 2. This is our remainder. This is where we bring our remainder up. Our remainder becomes our numerator of our mixed number, and our denominator stays the same throughout the entire problem, which was just our divisor. So 3 3/5 plus 2 4/5 equals 6 2/5. Okay, so changing mixed to improper, mixed numbers to improper fractions and solving it that way. And we can't, of course, leave our answer as this awkward improper fraction, so we have to change that back to a mixed number. We do that by numerator divided by denominator. And so, but there's an easier way with addition. I tell students, if you can't get a grip on the difference between addition and subtraction, then always do change the mixed numbers to improper fractions and then back to get your solution. Because some students have a hard time trying to remember which is which one to do, which steps to do with which kind of problem, addition or subtraction. Okay, so that's one way. And let me show you another way. Okay, so if I have 3 3/5 plus 2 4/5. I teach students, I say, just add the whole numbers first. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Add the fractions, 3/5 plus 4/5 equals 7/5. So there's my answer, 5 7/5. Okay, I know I'm not going to leave my mixed number with including an improper fraction. And I know that it's improper because there's more than one whole group of fifths. One whole group of fifths, students have learned that whole groups are like 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, on and on. Anytime you have the same numerator and denominator, it's equal to one whole. These are all equal to one whole. And so we can see that there's more than one whole group of fifths here, because I could take one whole group of fifths out and I can change that back to a whole number, because 5/5 is equal to one whole. And now once I take that whole group out, I'm no longer going to have an improper fraction, because now I re-add my whole numbers. 5 plus the 1 I just regrouped out makes 6. 7/5 minus 5/5 equals 2/5. I get the exact same answer as before. It's just a little bit shorter than going mixed to improper and then improper back to mixed at the end. So that's a couple of different ways you can do with addition. With subtraction, with regrouping, is a little different, because you can do it by regrouping in the beginning, but let's do it first. Again, mixed to improper. So if I have the fraction, or the mixed number I should say, 6 1/6, let's say 6 1/6, and I want to subtract 4 4/6. Okay. And I know that I can do 6 minus 4, but I can't do 1/6 minus 4/6. So again, let's do our steps. Change mixed to improper. Mixed to improper, we do that by doing denominator times whole number plus numerator. And so we're going to do denominator times whole number, d times w. 6 times 6 is 36. Add it to our numerator. So 6 1/6 is the same as 37/6. Let's do the same to 4 4/6. D times w, 6 times 4 is 24. Add it to our numerator. 24 plus 4 is 28. 6. Okay, now I can subtract. 37 minus 28 equals 9. 6. Then again, I don't want to leave it as an improper fraction, so I want to change it back to a mixed number, and I do that. The improper to mixed, I do that by doing n divided by d. Okay, so numerator divided by denominator. So if I do 9 divided by 6, only one group of 6 will go into 9. 1 times 6 is 6. Get my remainder. Again, my remainder goes in my numerator, and my denominator stays the same throughout the problem, which is my divisor, 6. And also, students get to the point where they recognize this is not in simplest form. If I put this in simplest form, I could divide numerator and denominator by 3, and that would make it equivalent to 1 1/2. Okay, so that's one way we can do subtraction. Okay, and then let me just show you one other way. And there's multiple ways. Many people have their own ways. Many parents want to teach their kids the way they learned it when they were in school, and that's totally fine as long as your child can do it in some correct method. I'm okay with that. Okay, so if we have 6 1/6, we want to subtract out 4 4/6. Okay, again, we can't do 1/6 minus 4/6, so let's borrow. Okay, so I'm going to take one whole number away. I'm going to regroup that one whole as 6/6. Okay, but I have to make sure I know that I have to take the 6/6 and add it to the 1/6 I already have, which makes 7/6. So 6/6 I just regrouped. I just borrow that here as a whole number. Plus the 1/6 I already had makes 7/6. So 7/6 minus 4/6 equals 3/6, and 5 minus 4 equals 1, which again is equal to 1 and 1/2. Okay, as long as your child can remember to add it what they've borrowed back to what the original fraction was in the mixed number, this way is great. But often that's where students will miss the problem doing it this method, because they do not add in the original fraction part that was already there. But I'm totally great with either way. But hopefully this has helped you with one way you can work with your child and the way that we do it at school. Thank you.